One. Hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased view. With me today is Elroy again, and this time in a lot happier mood than we were last time when we spoke. So, Elroy,
Yeah,
quite a few things happened in the last 48
yeah,
hours or so. Suddenly,
very
12 clubs coming together, wanting to
uh,
break out and have their own league, and then all of a sudden, things get
yeah,
squashed just because people voice their opinion.
eventful 48 hours away from the pitch. So that was something very, as a football fan who's used to having entertainment on the pitch, this was 48 hours of a lot of entertainment off the pitch, which, yeah, I mean, on jokes aside, it was a very we discussed 2 days ago about how what the impact of this would be, and we also showed our displeasure with how it is a league against a lot of it does a lot of wrong things that way to other clubs. It's not a fair uh, it's not fair for the other clubs, and I think the clubs have taken the right decision for now, at least. So they are going to face they are going to face a lot of backlash, and there is going to be a lot of implication for this, but it's the right decision has been taken. It had to be taken for the betterment of the game, and it's good to see that at least 10 clubs as of now have put up a statement to that they are not going to be a part of this.
And on the other hand, it also shows the power of the people. Everybody who actually loves football united,
Yeah,
irrespective of what clubs they support, they all came together and said, this is not football, this is
yeah,
just money making business, this is not football. So that is
true.
kudos to all the people who actually united. Now
Yeah,
if you look at the dynamics that was set with this kind of a league that was happening,
yeah,
it would have meant tons and tons of money in the hand of the owner and the owner only. Because if you
yeah,
look at the way, and we are familiarized with it, we have seen
true.
the IPL, we have
Yeah,
seen all the other leagues across the world. So, for instance, NFL, the government has
yeah.
nothing to do with it. They do not take any part of it. And these
Oh,
set of
okay.
36 player teams that they have at the NFL, they keep making money and the owners keep making money. And there is there is a massive pyramid where the owner sits on the top and everything is then
Okay, okay. Yeah,
money wise.
yeah,
Now, on the other hand, if you look at it, the players who were silent during those 48 hours and
yeah.
now come and voice their opinion are to a certain extent hypocrites, because they back away from signing contracts just till they get their, them and their
Yeah,
agents actually must to get their 200 grand a week or 300 grand a week.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I look at it like it was an opportunity for some players to make money, some players to stay constant with the money irrespective of the
yeah,
form, and then there were some players who would be stuck with the clubs that they are in.
yeah.
So it's a good thing it happened. There were some pros, not as many, but there were more cons than anything, and football would
True,
have been played.
true. Yeah, I think what you mentioned about the players is a see. To be honest, to a great extent, I would not, I would not criticize the players at this point of time, because see, a lot of players were kept in the dark. That was one thing, and some of the players, like I'll get to the good part. Some of the players probably didn't know what the implications of this would be, so they may have kept quiet. But we don't know what has happened behind the scenes. Probably they have started work behind the scene, because as you know, the captains of all the clubs, Premier League clubs, are supposed to have a meeting. So maybe behind the scenes, as we said, that things were put into motion, but then that was not needed anymore. But hats off, a couple of people, if we have to openly say something, I would say hats off to player people like Klopp, Guardiola, who were vocal before they backed out. Maybe they knew that they were backing out, I don't know, but they were very vocal with their, at least Guardiola and Pep were quite vocal with and firm about their decision to, showing their displeasure. There were players like Bruno Fernandes, Cancelo, and a couple of others as well, who, all of them who voiced their opinion on social media to show their displeasure towards it. So hats off to these players and these managers, and and then a very big part goes into a lot of these supporter clubs. For instance, Arsenal itself, Arsenal supporters club had a massive say in this. They spoke, if I'm not wrong, they even had a word with the Prime Minister of UK. So everyone has had their fair share in this, in this fight, you can say. And yeah, whatever it was, it has worked out. And to be honest, I personally, like when we spoke the other day, I said it's a matter of when and not if anymore. Because you would think of it that big businessmen or billionaires of such stature, these kind of people are going ahead and making such a statement, you would think that they know that they have covered all the angles and they're ready for it. But it shows that maybe I was wrong, because these guys aren't that, I wouldn't say smart, but maybe they didn't expect such a backlash, or they were not ready for this or whatever. But it just showed that, overall, it just showed that, even me personally, I thought maybe even the fan voice would not be enough this time, but everyone's voices have been heard. uh, and it started off with, I think, Chelsea or City, both those clubs. Each report will be that some would say Chelsea were first, some would say City were first, but yeah, both those clubs started it off, and then they've rest followed, and that was a very a good way to go ahead with.
And like you mentioned, the implications, no one had thought about this. So for me,
Yeah,
me being an immigrant in a different country, one of those thoughts that does come in my head is, how does that fit into Brexit? How
yeah,
does this fit into Brexit? How now, on top of that, if you are making these rules, serious rules, that if you play in that club, you are not going to represent your country, at least in UEFA tournaments.
yeah,
So
yeah,
with that being said, let's say somebody like Saka steps in and says, I do not wish to be a part of this. Who does this?
yeah,
Who does his loyalty stand with? Does he get
exactly.
downchecked by Arsenal and not get paid for his contributions within the Premier League? Or
Yeah,
does who gives him that gap, that payment, that he's missing out on? Can he
yeah,
sue Arsenal for the money that he's missing out just because he's putting a
yeah,
foot forward? All those
yeah,
things. And what happens to women's football? Is
exactly.
women's
Yeah,
football also going to be a part of this? Will women's team also compete with this?
yeah,
I mean, those things, when I don't think anything like this has had been talked about. But on the
yeah,
other hand, when, I absolutely agree with you that the billionaires, they have already thought about all these things. And
yeah,
what I think about is, this is just the start. This is going to happen. It is going to
yes,
happen. It may happen in a small note, maybe like in IPL. It may happen in a 2 week, 2 year, 2 month window, where there will be these
yeah.
clubs fighting it out.
True, true. That's highly possible as well. Yeah, like a mini
And
tournament, with, yeah,
yeah, and it may happen once every 2 years to begin with,
yeah,
and then it may
uh,
happen on
yeah.
every month, yearly basis.
And see, another a very important you have touched on a very important point there. Like tomorrow, if they decide the amount of money that can be pumped into this, they could easily replace an international tournament. All of a sudden, you might see that Euros might be, I know it sounds far-fetched right now, but it cannot be far-fetched with the way the money is directing everything right now. So it's like tomorrow they might say Euros have to be held like once in 6 years or something, and the slot where the Euros would be held, they'll have the Super League of theirs. That's highly possible. And yeah, so, and you see, another point I want to mention in this is, you said that it will happen, and definitely it will happen. And the reason for this being that, see, the Premier League clubs are well off. Okay, the issue with why the Premier League clubs were so desperate is obviously the money, and it was run by their owners. Okay, their owners were the ones who. If you look at it from the point of view of the other leagues, that is Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico, and the Italian three Italian teams, they needed this because they are genuinely in a dire financial situation. When I say dire financial situation, I'm not just talking about COVID times, because if you know this is I read this in one of the books, that the winner of the Serie A, so all these years it has been Juventus, the winner of the Serie A gets almost the same amount of money as the team that finishes off bottom in the league in the Premier League. In terms of the TV money that they get, which is the biggest, the most amount that they get.
The
So
revenue
just
maker,
see that
yes.
the revenue. So just see that difference. So with such a disparity between the revenues, for sure that maybe the English clubs might stick to, after what they face, they might, they have learned their lesson. But the other teams are definitely going to break away at some point of time or the other, because they need that money. They need that money very badly. And, because if they want to even continue to compete with, like, be at the top, they know that they would want uh,
Absolutely.
that
And
money for the.
one of the things that you mentioned here, that all these tournaments will impact international tournaments, you're spot
Yeah.
on. Look at IPL.
Yeah.
IPL is the
IP,
reason why
exactly.
Asia Cup has been postponed. Asia Cup
Yeah.
has been cancelled. Asia Cup played between the four big strong nations in
Yeah.
in Asia, along now with five nations: Afghanistan.
Yeah.
This has been cancelled to make a window for IPL. All other
Exactly. Yeah.
events are cancelled because
Yeah.
that's where the money is, and all these
Ex-
boards are getting profited. So now let me
ex-
tell you this, that what will happen is the IPL model, where in IPL, and I did a completely different show with just how IPL is affecting things. Look at it,
yeah.
think about it in a model where, let's say, all these 12 clubs are going to play in Germany. Let's say they are
Yeah.
playing in Germany. What
Yeah.
impacts is the revenue that will be they will be bringing to Germany, the
Yeah.
hotels that will be around that will be
True. True.
accommodating these players,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
grounds, the people. And now what they can also do is to make sure that somebody like Norway, and I go back to Norway or Odegaard, somebody
Yeah.
like Odegaard gets in. If Odegaard plays, we will give you an X amount of money, which is one third of what his contract is, which is what
Yeah.
IPL is doing right now.
Yeah.
So, with
Yeah.
that being said, even the boards will be a little bit relaxed that in a country like Italy, where Juventus is, let's say, getting the same amount of money like Brighton for finishing 17th,
Exactly.
Italy
Yeah.
will be like, this is more than what Juventus may make
True.
for us throughout the year. So, you
Yeah.
know what? Let's make it happen. I don't care.
Yeah. And it's not just the TV deal. Once you have this, see, as I said, once you convert the sport or the game into a product, you're selling a product, you have a lot of add ons to it. It's not just the TV. These guys have plans of, like streaming, creating some kind of a Netflix documentary, for instance, or during streaming, they will get some maybe Hollywood stars, performers, make it like a rock show rather than a
Absolutely.
show rather than
It's
a game, which shows that money would never be an issue. The money would keep flowing in, and when that is there, like who's going to say no to it? But again, this brings me back to the point that they should never ever ever take fans for granted. What has happened over the last 48 hours shows that people are ready to fight against the money, and that was there's a bigger, larger message to be seen in this, to be honest. It's not just
I
the yeah.
agree with you completely. Agree with you completely. I think
Yeah.
that, this event that they have, they may start projecting it as an event that will be moved from country to country every year, just so
Yeah.
they can spread the sport. It's
True.
not that they will
Yeah.
be bringing any other teams
Yeah.
in. The idea is
Yeah.
to make money. Again, we keep forgetting
Exactly.
that these billionaires who are the owners of the club, they look at it as a business. At the end of
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
day, they do not want to win the trophy because it makes no
True.
difference to them. It's the fans.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
eventually, if you remember, India had a Indian Super League before an IPL.
And yes.
That did
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
catch up. But now we know
Yeah.
the culture in India that if a kid is throwing a ball in the middle of a street, people actually stop there to watch what's happening. And that will
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly what will happen with the country,
Yeah.
with the whole continent that is so passionate about football. So
Yeah.
I believe that this may have delayed the proceedings, but it's
True.
something is going to come around the corner.
Yeah. So, okay, to even just to elaborate more on that point that you have just mentioned, see, football is a global sport. It's, I mean, like when you compare it, like for in India, cricket dominates, no doubt about it, but football dominates the entire world. But at the same time, it's not reached maybe the entire world. I mean, it practically has, but the thing with these owners who wanted this particular league to take place, their primary goal was to reach out to the maximum audience possible. And I'm not saying for the love for the game, they are doing it purely for the money. But the thing is, when for them, they would have probably looked at it as a uh, in a weighing scale. They would have seen the benefits versus the negative effects of it. And one of the main things from that would have been that if we are losing out on local fans, like the fans from say London, say Arsenal fans, we will lose out on they will be pissed off. That's fine. If this league goes ahead, we will have this league all over the world, because we will gather, like say we decide to have like 5 matches in India. They know that maybe India has a mad base for Arsenal. They know that they will get a massive response. So that is what they are talking, that is what their goal was. And that is what would have happened. Arsenal wouldn't have been a London club anymore. It is a global club by stature, but it would have been a global club on the move. It would have been
Absolutely.
that way, which would have been a very, very I mean, obviously, in terms of globalization and all that, it would have been something, to good. But let's just say it's for the love of the game and for the things that the club stands for. It was just wrong. And to
And
just add to
I
a final,
completely agree with you.
yeah,
I mean,
and to
you and
add
I,
to
we both
yeah,
talk about it like an absolute passionate football
exactly,
fan.
yeah,
But when
yeah,
I wear a billionaire's hat, and if I look at it from an owner's perspective, I will
it's a
feel
product.
sad that this has not happened. But I already have started making calculations in my head on how to make it
Exactly.
happen going forward in the future.
Yeah.
And for all
True.
I know, I might have this 2-month tournament in America, and I
Yeah.
can bet you anything that as much as we fans complain about it, if this game is happening, we will be watching it. And same will
True.
happen with
True.
people sitting in London. Now,
No,
imagine
and
this.
yeah.
If we are having a protest, like they say, we are having a protest in London on Friday to protest
Yeah.
against Stan Kroenke,
Yeah.
I can bet you anything 70% of the people will be wearing Arsenal merchandise,
True.
which means
Yeah.
that, you just made him money just by wearing it and going out there.
Yeah. So no, and that I completely agree. Like even in terms of the Super League, tomorrow, say if it did take place, you and I would have been watching it. The people who, the reporters and journalists who have been against it would have been reporting the matches as well. It doesn't take, because see, people look at it as a materialistic way, but it's not a materialistic thing for us. We are fans who are, football is an emotional thing. Like these owners might try and sell it like a product, but for us it's way more than that, you see. And for us there's an emotional connect to it, which, it's not easy to just say that, okay, from tomorrow onwards I'm not going to support Arsenal. we'll
Oh
be
God.
mad at the club for we'll be mad at the club for whatever is happening, but at the end of the day we would be following it because it's a part of us right now, you see. And it's yeah, it was quite a thing. And just one last thing I wanted to add in terms of like obviously we as foreign fans, or I think would not. So the other day, one of this there was this talk show. I forgot his name, but there was this one guy on the talk show who had a rant about this full Super League thing, and he mentioned a good thing where he mentioned, and a lot of people, others on Twitter and all have mentioned this. Football in London was, each club represents a community. Like every club was founded based on certain, certain factory workers or certain ship workers. Arsenal apparently with, through gunmen, people who use blacksmith or whatever. Like each club has an origin from, some community of workers or something like that. And it has always, the clubs have been for the community. And like see, I saw a lot of people supporting the Super League on social media yesterday, which is fair enough. Each person has their view. But again, they were looking at it from a global point of view, and we were just ignoring the local aspect of it, where these clubs have been born and brought up by the local people. And from their point of view, if you see, it was a massive betrayal for them. Like while we would be able to all enjoy the games, from their point of view, the club that represents a particular community would be impacted. And you see, there were too many things just wrong about this entire setup, and couldn't be happier that it's just gone away.
And I do agree with you. And also, just to throw it in the mix, there will be those times when games will be played on a Wednesday evening and you have nothing to do on
Yeah.
a Wednesday evening, you would rather watch that game. So
Yeah.
invariably you get, sucked into watching it, and you
Yeah.
start putting more and more thoughts into it, more passion into it, and
Exactly. Yeah.
eventually it just becomes a part of your regular up
Yeah.
and regular life. So yeah, it's a good thing that it didn't happen for now, but I
Yeah.
still have a feeling that it is something big is around the corner. And
True.
yes, like you said, it is not going to impact. The owners don't
Yeah.
really care, because look at all the teams and the owners. Roman
Yeah.
Abramovich sits in Russia. Kroenke
Yes.
sits here. All these
US. Yeah.
people, they have no ties to London. They have no idea what passion means for Londoners.
True.
They have no
Yeah.
idea what they call the game soccer.
Yeah.
So it's, for us, you and I, it's football. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean it's soccer? It's football.
Yeah.
And then there are these owners who look at it like a business. It's a product.
Yeah.
It's a
True.
product. It's not a game. It's nothing passionate. It's a product.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh well, it's a good thing that football
Yeah.
fans united. It's a good thing
Exactly.
that, we all stepped in and we showed that we wanted to be a part of the table. But I
Yeah.
think it may not be enough. Eventually, when money will be the factor, money will be driving
True.
everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, on that
Yeah.
note, let's
Yeah.
just say that let's be happy. Let's follow Arsenal for that
Yeah.
while. And on a lighter note, I know that there was a captain's meeting where all league captains were out there. I hope
No.
Aubameyang showed up, because
No.
these
No. No.
days he
It
has
didn't.
to
It.
be.
It didn't take place. It was supposed to be today, but
Okay.
then because everything got cancelled, the meeting itself got cancelled. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So
Well, I
now.
was
So now
afraid Aubameyang
it's.
might not
Yeah.
show up. He
So
has
now it's.
he has failed to show
Yeah.
up on times these days.
So now it's back to reality for us, wherein back we are playing on Friday night in India time. So it's back
Everton.
to, getting bantered and,
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of banter taking place. It's good to have normal life back again now.
Normal life is back. Exactly. All right. Well, thank you,
Okay.
Elroy. Thank you for joining me. And
Thanks,
on
Kevin.
that
Yeah.
note, guys, if you have come this far, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you like the show, give us a shout out. We would be glad to get any feedback. The Twitter handles are based on the video out there. It's in the bottom of both of us on the videos. So that's all that we have for today. Have a good rest of the day. Stay healthy, stay safe wherever you are, and talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. Take care. Bye. See you.
Uh,
Oh,